This story about the death of Genghis Khan was collected in the western Gobi at the end of the 19th century. It talks about how the queen of the Tanguts, whom Genghis took by force, castrated the Khan, which eventually led to his death. During his expedition to Mongolia and northwestern China, the Russian explorer Grigory Patanin collected a wealth of folklore material from local tribes. One of these was a legend about the death of Genghis Khan and the fall of the Tangut kingdom. This was collected in the region of Alashan in the western part of the Gobi Desert. This area was originally under the control of the Tanguts, a people who established their own kingdom in the early 11th century and ruled part of northern China, until their state was destroyed by the Mongol forces of Genghis Khan. During the 200-some years of the existence of the Tangut kingdom, the Tanguts created an amazing civilization, with their own unique kind of art and, just as importantly, a unique script. Although the people, the language, and the script survived the destruction of the Tangut kingdom, eventually the people ceased to be a separate entity, and the script was also forgotten. And it remained forgotten for many centuries, until in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a series of discoveries of Tangut manuscripts and printed books made it possible for scholars to decipher the language and also the script, and to read the multitude of material that survives from the Tangut kingdom. And the story collected by Grigory Patanin about the fall of the Tangut kingdom and the death of Genghis Khan is actually quite interesting, not the least because some of the motifs in it have connection with motifs in medieval European romance novels, and even in much later tales such as the tale of Snow White. For example, in the story of Snow White, we have that scene where the queen accidentally pricks her finger with a needle, and drops of her blood fall on the snow. And then she says to herself, "How I wish that I had a daughter that had a skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony." And as you will see, this motif is actually part of the story collected from local tribes. And the other intriguing thing about this story is that it talks about the castration of Genghis Khan, which is not a topic that's otherwise emphasized in the lore surrounding Genghis Khan. So this legend was collected by Patanin in 1885 in a region that now falls within Inner Mongolia. According to the story, while hunting for wild animals, Genghis Khan came to a place within a day's ride from the city ruled by the Tangut king Shiturgu Turgen Khan. And Genghis Khan was accompanied by his high minister, Mergen Kasar. A fresh snow had just fallen. The Khan shot a hare. The hare collapsed, and its blood colored the fresh snow. Arriving at the spot where the hare lay, the Khan asked, "Is there a woman who has a face of this color?" To which Mergen Kasar said, "Actually there is, the wife of Shiturgu Turgen Khan." And so Genghis said, "Well, let's go there and take her from him." So they went to the city, and there Shiturgu Turgen said to Genghis Khan, "You came to take my wife. Well, take her, but do not kill me. Only when you take my wife, make sure to examine her carefully. My wife has an evil heart. When you examine her, take off all of her clothes. Do not leave anything on." But Genghis did not agree to leave him alive. And at that point, Shiturgu Turgen said, "You cannot kill me with your sword. Your sword has no power over me. You can only kill me with my own dagger. And if I had any evil thoughts towards you, then blood will come forth from my wound. But if my thoughts were friendly, water will come forth." Genghis took the dagger and split Shiturgu Turgen's head, from which water started flowing. And to that Genghis said, "Alas, I killed the man for no good reason." But in any case, Genghis took the wife of Shiturgu Turgen and left for home. Along the way, Genghis stopped for the night, and the wife of Shiturgu Turgen lay next to him. And during the night, she cut off the private parts of Genghis using scissors used to cut nails. And after this, she ran away and drowned herself in the river. And since then, the river is known by the name of Katungol, the Queen's River. Her body was never found, only her dress on the bank of the river. The castrated Genghis Khan fell ill but continued his journey. Reaching the valley of the river Jamkok, he said, "This is the place where an old man can take a rest, where he can hunt some deer." With these words, he died. This is the story, and we have to remember that it was collected at the end of the 19th century, so in principle it might not be that old. But a related story is recorded in the Altan Tobchi, a 17th century Mongol chronicle. The story itself is quite similar, but interestingly, the male protagonist is not Genghis Khan, but Elbeg Khagan. And similarly, while hunting, he shot a hare, saw the blood dripping on the snow, and then exclaimed, "Is there a beautiful woman, of color as white as the snow, and with cheeks as red as the blood?" And his loyal minister suggests to him, "Yes, of course there is a woman like that, and she's the wife of the Khan's own son." So the Khagan goes to his son, kills him, and takes his wife. But the wife takes revenge on the minister by getting him drunk and then pretending that he tried to force himself on her. Elbeg Khagan pursues and kills the minister, while his own finger gets shot and severed. His daughter-in-law sucks the blood off the severed finger and then licks the fat off the back of the killed minister, and then reveals to the Khagan that she did all this to revenge her dead husband, and now the Khagan could do anything he wished with her. The motif of the sight of blood falling on snow being connected with a beautiful woman is also common in medieval European romance novels. One of the earliest occurrences of this motif is in Chrétien de Troyes' novel Perceval, The Story of the Grail. There we read that Perceval one day is riding across a snowy field, and he sees a pack of geese fleeing from a falcon, and the falcon strikes one of the geese, but then it does not pursue its prey, but flies off. The goose falls on the ground, and its blood colors the snow. And by the time Perceval gets to the spot, the goose, not being hit very badly, flies off too, leaving 3 drops of blood on the snow. And then we read, "And Perceval, leaning on his lance, sat staring at the sight. Blood and snow, so mixed together, created fresh color, just like his beloved's face. And as he stared, he forgot what he was doing and where he was. The red stain against the white snow seemed just like her complexion. The more he looked, the happier he grew, seeing once again the exact color of a beautiful face." So here the sight of blood on the snow is clearly connected with the complexion of a beautiful woman, and with the main hero falling in love with her. Another version of this motif appears in the Middle Irish Longes Mac nUislenn, where Deirdre sees a raven drinking calf blood from the snow. One day in winter, Deirdre's foster father is skinning a calf on the snow outside, and she sees a raven drinking its blood. She says she would desire a man with those 3 colors, hair like the raven, cheeks like the blood, and his body like the snow. So in this case, because the protagonist is a woman, she links the sight with the beautiful man. But the connection is very, very similar. And later this motif becomes very common in folk tales, and is mostly known to us from the story of Snow White. And it's interesting that modern commentators typically connect this motif with a woman's coming to maturity. But in the legend about the death of Genghis Khan, the motif seems to have a different function, and it is probably closer to that in medieval romance novels. In the Genghis Khan legend, the motif may foreshadow the death of the 3 characters involved in the plot: the Tangut king Shturgu Tulgen, his wife, and Genghis Khan. Although if we take a closer look, it might actually be significant that the Tangut king and his queen did not bleed. The Tangut king bled water, and his wife drowned herself. So the only person bleeding in the story is Genghis Khan. In the other version, where the protagonist is Elbeg Khan rather than Genghis Khan, the Khan does not get castrated, but it is his little pinky that gets severed. And in a weird twist, his daughter-in-law, who orchestrated the whole thing, sucks the blood off the severed finger. So these are gory and bizarre details which we commonly find in legends and folk tales. In any case, I think the motif of blood dripping on snow is a fascinating example of the connections between vastly distant cultures. So let me know what you think of this, or if you know of another early version of the motif. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.